this tutorial you are having seven problems. I hope you have tried. So five of them are related to optimization problems and using variational principle, and two are related to Hamiltonian. So this first five problems are also related to the Lagrangian equation. So they are very simple. So I hope you have tried. If you have any doubts, just do let me know in between. Okay. So as you know, the Euler-Lagrange equation is this. I will come to the questions. Let me discuss the very few points. So the equation is ddt of dl by dq dot minus dl by dq equal to 0. This was the equation you have been solving all along. So this equation actually comes from this equation was actually they also derived in the class from the fact that some integral is something called, this integral is called action integral. If you write the integral of action, so it looks like this: L u u dot t dt. Okay, let me write this integral I is equal to L q dot dt. So when you want to extremize this integral, this action equal to this action, that means with delta of I equal to 0, when you try to solve this delta I equal to 0, you actually come up with this equation, like Euler-Lagrange equation. Okay. So whenever you have some this is actually called some functional. Lagrangian is a functional of q dot nt. So if you have some equation, suppose you have some function which is dependent on x, just like q, x prime, and z, suppose, and look at this positions. Okay, this t is basically this t, same thing. So whenever I will write a function, I will write like this: x prime, which will be, and z. This z is basically the main variable here. Okay, so if you want to extremize this integral, then what you do, you simply you just notice, in place of L we have f, in place of q we have x, q dot x prime, and t z. So what we have to, if you, when you extremize this integral, your solution will come up to be like this: d, in place of t we have z of del f by del x prime minus del f by del x equal to 0. Suppose in all questions we have to extremize these things. In one question we have to extremize time. You write time in terms of some integral. So when you get this integral, then we will come back to this point that to extremize this time, we just have to write this equation. There will be some questions where you have to simply write, you have to write the length, total length, which will be some function, which will be some integral. You have to extremize this length. Then again, we will come back to this part. Okay. This is how we will proceed. Now you look at this. When you get some equation like this, if this thing, if this thing becomes 0, then this equation is very simple to solve. What we can do after that, we just simply can put that this part is actually 0. Sorry, constant. Okay. Now, if you, this is one point. Okay. So another point is, you know that if your Lagrangian is not dependent on time, if your Lagrangian is not having some explicit dependency on time, your energy was conserved, right? So and so what you did here was, you simply write p q dot minus L equal to constant. Okay. So if your Lagrange, suppose you get the equation like this, and you found that your function is not having this Z dependency extensively. So what you can do in that case, you can simply write my P q dot minus F will become constant. These are the 2 points we will be actually following today. So your P in such case will become dF by dx prime, just like dl by dq dot times of x prime minus of F will become constant if your F is not having the Z dependency directly. Okay, these 2 points are clear. Are you guys with me?
Yes, भैया. Yes, bhaiya.
Okay. Okay. So only with these 2 points we will solve all the 5 problems, first 5 problems. So here you say that using format be simple, we have to find the path of ray of light traveling on this xz plane, and refractive index is also given to us. Okay, so light enters from here and comes out from this way. So now format principle says that light will take the path from which it will take very uh, minimum time. Okay, so what is the time taken to reach from here to here? It will be total length of the path divided by the speed, and we have to finally integrate this. Length of the path taken by the light divided by the speed of light on that path. Suppose I am here, suppose at this position, what will be the length at the point x comma z? You move dx little bit this way and dz little bit this way. So your ds vector will become ds x cap plus dz z cap. This one you have written many times. So we actually have to write the magnitude of this. So what is the magnitude of this? This is basically root over of dx square plus dz square, because x cap and z cap are orthogonal to each other. Now you know ds. What about v? We know that n is equal to refractive index is equal to c by v. So from here we can write v in terms of n, and n is given to us. So our total time taken by the light going from here to here will become integration of c by, yeah. So v will become c by n. This will become dx square plus dz square to the power half divided by c by n. That means finally your equation will become n0, n will go up root over of 1 plus z by a and root over of dx square plus dz square. This is your integral. Now we want to write this integral in terms of this form. Okay, there is dx and dz both, so we can either write like this.
Bhaiya, you missed divide by C.
Yes, divide by c. Here, thank you for z by a, and here either we take dx out or we can take dz out. Let me take dx out first. So it will become 1 plus dz by dx whole square. So here you can write dz by dx to be equal to z prime. Okay, so this way our final this first few problems I will go very slowly, then I will pick up speed. So this one z prime square dx. So we have equation like this, or but if you want to take dz out, your equation will like become like this. T will become n0 by c 1 plus z by c 1 plus x prime square and dj. Okay. So now you look at this functional. So this functional is actually function of, so you have, we want to write this functional in this kind of form. So first, in place of t we have x, in place of t we have x, and other two variable z and z prime. Now this function is not having explicit x dependency. This is our f, which is not having x dependency. So if your Lagrangian was not having any explicit time dependency, what you could write p q dot minus l equals to constant. So one way you can solve like this: p will be equal to df by dz prime into z prime minus f equal to constant. So this is one method you can solve. You let us find df by dz prime. This will be n0 by z 1 plus z by a. Only z prime is here, so del of del z prime of this will become z prime divided by 1 plus z prime square, and minus of f. Again we have to write whole thing, but let me take n naught by c, this part common, so it will become 1 plus z prime square is equal to some constant.
Here we will also multiply z prime in first term.
Yes, because whenever your L Lagrangian was explicit.
But I'm saying you have not multiplied. I mean, not written it. Maybe.
Okay. I have to, yes, I have to multiply z prime here, so it will become z square, z prime square. Okay. So this is how. Then you go ahead and solve it. First part is like this. You can solve like this. So if you solve it, z prime square minus 1 plus z prime square, or it will become minus. It will become n naught by c root over of 1 plus z by a, 1 divided by root over of 1 plus z prime square is equal to some constant. Let me write some constant a. So you solve it, you will get your z in terms of, do I need to solve or you can solve? Will you guys need, can you solve it?
Sir, actually I got the integral but couldn't solve it. Could you solve it?
Okay. So finally, if you solve it, your equation will become like this: 1 plus z prime square by 1 will become a divided by c by n naught. C by n naught also we can take this also inside this constant. Let me write it a prime. So it will become 1 plus z by a. Okay. Now you can use the boundary conditions as well. So that I want to basically ignore this a prime. So what we can do is, you know that the light was entering through this point. So at this point, at 0 comma 0, your z prime, that is dz by dx, was actually infinity, was tending to infinity. At this point the slope was 0, that means dx by dz was 0, dz by dx was 0, sorry. At this point the tangent was like this, that means z prime is 0. Let me verify once. Yeah. So from here we can get 1 by 1 is equal to a prime by 1. That means a prime was my 1. So let me write this a prime to be equal to 1. Now it becomes simple. My z prime will become root over of z by root over of a. From here dz by, are you guys with me?
Yes.
So this one will become finally dz by root over of z, which will become root over of z is equal to dx by This will become x by a plus some constant. Okay, again we know that this beam was passing through 0, 0. That means 0, 0. This will become 0. Okay, so finally my z will become x squared by a. I missed two term somewhere. Yeah, integration. Here it will become 2. So this will become, z will become x squared by 4a. Finally, the path of the beam will look like to be a parabola of this form, z is equal to x squared by 4a. Is this fine?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, very good. So the first way was you can solve it like this. So the beauty of these questions are, you can, if you miss this step, you can solve from different way also. Like you have taken dz out now. What you can do is you can use this process now. You write your functional of this form again. And let me write g in place of f now. Again, you write like this. What are the variables made independent variables? In place of t, you have z. Then again, you have some x and you have some x prime. But if you write in this form, you are lucky that your this g is not having explicit x dependency. Now, if your g is not having any explicit x dependency, then first point, then this part will become 0. That means df by dx prime will become constant. Are you guys with me?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Yes, Vijay.
Okay, good. So that means finally your solution will, when you solve the Euler-Lagrangian equation, you write that step also. Don't miss that step. So let me write ddt of, so ddz of now, because in place of t we have z. ddz of dg by dx prime minus dg by dx will become 0. Now you know that your g is not having any x dependency directly, so this part will become 0. This thing is equal to 0. That means your dg by dx prime will become some constant. And once you find dg by dx prime, you are done. What is dg by dx prime? This is nothing but n0 by c 1 plus z by c. Only x prime dependency is here, so this will become x prime by root over 1 plus x prime square is equal to some constant. Okay. Okay. Same equation we are finally achieving this step. See, you start from anywhere, you will get the solution, but you only with these two conditions you can actually solve. Now suppose you start with, by the, are you guys with me till now?
Yes.
You have any doubt?
No.
Okay. So, but see here we have utilized the fact that g was not having any x dependency, so that's why we can start with Lagrange equation and we can get this equation in. But here if you start now, you start with Lagrange equation, it will become very complicated to reach this step. So what we do, we did that if this is not having any x dependency, time, if Lagrangian is not having any time dependency, we can write pq dot minus l to be equal to constant. That special case we have actually utilized here. Okay, but if you start from this and you put this f in Lagrange equation and try to solve it, it will become very lengthy to reach this step. Okay.
Yes, Vijay.
Okay. Okay. Then the rest of the problems are very simple. Now we have to first, in the second question, we have to find and draw the nature of curve if time taken by particle moving along curve y equal to yx with some velocity from 0, 0 to 1, 1 is minimum. Again, it's an extremization problem. So what we have to do, we have to find the time taken from some position origin to some position A, suppose. Okay. And that time will be basically, wait, So you have to go from here to here. You can follow any path we are saying, but this path is having some constraint that you should have only this much velocity on that path. So suppose from here to here we are going, suppose this distance is our ds, and on this path we have only this velocity, which is x. ds by v we are writing, this equation we are writing, dv by dx by dt equal to v. So from here dt will become dx by v. This part we are writing here. This was I was writing in one dimension. So in general, this will become ds by x. Now you know ds because your this system is in xy coordinate. So that's why you can write that. Finally, it will become dx square plus dy square by x. Okay. Now again, you had two options. Either you write your integral like this, 1 plus y prime square dx, or 1 by x, 1 plus x prime square dy. So here if you see your function is of the form, your this variable is x, here y prime, but here you do not have any y, so this will simply become d dx of df by dy prime minus df by dy equal to 0. Your Euler-Lagrange equation will look like this, but because your f is not having any y, that's why this part will become 0. That means this thing will become constant, and that's it. You can solve it after that. It will become 1 by x y prime divided by 1 plus y prime square will become some constant c. That means it will become y prime square by 1 plus y prime square will become cx, some c square x square. From here you can write y prime square will become c square x square by c square x square minus 1. Then you can solve it after that, right? Can you solve it?
Yeah, done.
Yes, yeah.
So similarly, if you start from this way, like if you have taken dy out, so your function will have the time, in place of time you have y, but here you will have x sorry, and x prime. Now see, this g is not having explicit y dependency. So you do not write start from this, you start from the fact that your dg by dx prime times of x prime minus g will become constant. If you start from this, again you will get the same equation. So finally, your equation will be of the form x squared plus y minus a whole square is equal to some b square. Okay. But what is the type of this equation?
Circle.
Circle, yes. So you can get these values of a and b from these points. Okay. So it's shown that it will pass from 0, 0 and 1, 1, both points. So when you write, your equation will become x squared plus y minus 1 whole square will equal to 1. Now if you draw it, you know the point is here and here. The circle, it will so the circle will look like this, and this particle will start from O to A following this arc path, circular arc path, with this constraint plus with at every point it will have this velocity ds by dt equal to s, and also the time taken from this to this will become minima only from this path. If you take this sorry, if you take a straight line path, if you find the time taken, you will see that this time will be greater than time for the straight line path will be time for the, so this will become like this. Okay. So I hope these things are clear. First, what you have to do, you have to write some integral. Then you have to relate this integral to Euler-Lagrange equation. This will be easier for you to remember because you have solved so many Euler-Lagrange equation by now. So if you write like this and think like this, then it will be easy to solve.
Hello, sir. Sir, if we find here equation of path, then if we
Hmm.
want to find time taken, then will we calculate the upper integral?
Yes,
That
yes.
what?
So you can do from here. You suppose you have find the equation, then what you would have to do, you have to find y prime. So from here you find y prime, you will get 2x plus 2y minus 1 y prime equal to 0. From here you get the y prime, you substitute here, then this integral will completely become in terms of x, and you know your x is varying from 0 to 1. Then you may need to substitute some x in terms of theta maybe. It's clear.
Yes, Bhaiya.
So whenever you get the path, from there you get the other values. Like if you do not know y prime, so you will get from here. Okay. So I think in the next problem it will be clear. We have to find some path length or maybe something. We will come. We will see. So again, question number 3. So if you see this, so consider a rope of length L. So we have a rope which is of length L, linear mass density lambda, and we fix these 2 points here and here, x0 y0 and x1 y1, and it is said that both the fixed points are from the ground. So suppose this is our ground and they are separated by distance b. So this is the picture. Actually there are two poles and both the poles are at a height, this point, 2 points are at a height h, and the separation between the two poles is b. Okay, so this is actually known as catenary problem. So you see this hanging chain. So the shape made by this we have to find. You can also see the electric wires, heavy electric wires, and also the spider webs. So you see this in the nature. And now we're asked to find what is the shape this rope will make under the influence of gravity. So under influence of gravity, each segment will actually experience potential energy. Have to basically minimize this potential energy, right? In any system, whenever it is allowed, it tries to reach to minimum energy state. So that's why we will use this to minimize potential energy. This part we will utilize. So first let us write, for any segment let us write the, suppose this is at x comma y, and dx dy element we have taken, and we want to write the potential energy of this one segment. This will become lambda times of the length of this element into m. This will become m, g, and height of this element, which is at height y. Then if we integrate, then this will be a total potential energy, right? This part is clear. Are you guys
Yes,
with
sir.
me? Okay. So now your length element, similar length element in xy coordinate system, this will be root over of dx square plus dy square, again g times of y. Now you have to minimize this energy. So what you do, you simplify your equation, this integral again. You write lambda g y 1 plus y prime square dx, or again same thing we are doing. Nothing new we are doing. 1 plus, let's say I'm cutting it fast. It will become like this. Again you see which form you can take. Suppose let me take this form f. I am taking this variable, so let me write x here, then other two variables y and y prime. Now see this, if you use this functional form, is not having x dependency. Again, you can write same thing, pq dot minus l kind of thing. So p is basically df by dy prime y prime minus f is equal to constant. Or you can start from here. You see your functional form again. My in place of t, I am having y. Here x and x prime, but here x is not there explicitly. So this will simply give us dg by dx prime will become some constant. You start from here or here, you will end up with the same equations. Are you guys with me?
Yes, yes.
So, and one more thing, you see, if you start from there, this y is also not there. Y is there. Y is there. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah. So let us write the equation again. So this will become dz by dx prime lambda g y x prime y root over 1 plus x prime square times f. This will become some constant, suppose a. Now if you solve it, your equation will look like this. X equal to some constant a cos hyperbolic, sorry, y will become y is equal to cos hyperbolic x minus some another constant b divided by the same constant a. I hope you can solve the integral. Do I need to?
Yeah, x was coming in some logarithm form, sir.
Okay, okay. It's like this, okay? So whenever you get some equation, it will okay, this kind of form you will encounter. And inverse of this will basically give you logarithm. So
Oh,
maybe whenever you get logarithm, you take the exponential part, e to the power part, you will reach something like this. Cos hyperbolic means e to the power of x. So definition of cos hyperbolic x is basically this. So when you after you get your logarithm, you convert it again to exponential form.
okay.
Then you will get you have to use cos hyperbolic x is equal to e to the power x to the power minus x by 2. This is the definition of cos hyperbolic x. You will get the same equation.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Now
Yeah, but
this
we are not able to. I'm not able to find the constant
yeah.
by
Well,
in logarithm
I'm coming to
equation.
that. Yes, I'm coming to that. Now you see this shape. So it's function of cos hyperbolic x minus b by a. Cos hyperbolic function is a odd function or even function. Can anybody tell me from looking at this definition? Even function,
It's
right? Yeah.
even function.
So now our cos hyperbolic function x is actually shifted like this. If we have taken our origin from here and we see that our x is we have our cos hyperbolic function is x minus of b something. That means if your origin you shift it somewhere, then if you make this b some you make this b nicely, then if you put your origin here, now your this function will look like symmetric, right? If you take origin here, your function is not symmetric, but if you take origin here, your function is symmetric. That means by choosing your proper origin, you can make this b to be equal to 0. Are you guys with me?
Yeah, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes. Now, finally, you got that your equation. If you choose your origin to be here, your equation will look like cos hyperbolic of x by a. And yeah, definitely you cannot solve this equation by hand. You have to take help of computer. You cannot get a directly by solving something. So how to get your a? You can get your a by saying that your length of the string is basically given to us L. If you can consider that part to get your L, or otherwise you can take the height of the post also to get this A. So you know that no, this part cannot be done. So you can say that the length of the string is basically L. So how to get the length of the string? The length of the string L is equal to integration of this one. So this will become 1 plus y prime square dx. And you know your y, you can get your y prime. From there, you will get one equation which you will not be able to solve by your hand. You have to take your help from computer, any program. From there, you can actually get this A. Is it fine?
Yes, okay.
Okay. So the next problem, we have to find the equation of, as shown in this figure, find the geodesic, the shortest path on this cylinder. We have to find the shortest path on this cylinder. That means we have to find the path length between 2 points. Okay. So what is the path length between 2 points on cylindrical system? We write our dr like this: r dr r cap plus r d theta theta cap. You remember this equation for cylindrical system?
Yes, bhaiya.
Now we are on the surface of the cylinder. That means this dr will become 0. R is not changing, and this r will become capital R because we know r small r, how much it is. It is capital R. So what will be the path length? If you take a small path on the cylinder, this path length will become root over of r square d theta square plus dz square. This will be your path length, and finally total path will become s, like this, from your initial position to from your final position. Now again you can write your integration. I will not solve this integration. So your equation will become like this: r square plus z prime square. If you take d theta out, or integration will become r square theta prime square plus 1 if you take your dz out. Now you again have to integration. You again check like this. F, I am writing in terms of theta, so let me write in place of t, we write theta, z prime. Lucky we do not have z, we do not have theta in our functional. So we will simply write df by dz prime is equal to some constant. Similarly, from here also, if you start, my t is replaced with z, and rest of the thing theta and theta prime. I do not have theta in my functional. I do not have z in my functional. I can also write dz by d theta prime equal to some constant. You choose any approach, you will reach the same equation. Finally, you will get the equation of, let me check. Finally, you will get the z equal to a theta plus b. This equation will be very simple equation. You will be easily able to solve this differential equation, and you will reach this step. Now to get a and b, what to do? We will put the initial condition. We know that initially the particle was at 0, 0. When theta was 0, z was also 0. So from there we get that b is actually our 0. Theta equal to 0, z is equal to 0, b is equal to 0. That means again, finally it has reached this point. When theta is, z is equal to h, our theta was actually pi by 2. So from here you get your a to be equal to 2h by pi. So your final equation is nothing but 2h by pi times of theta. This one you are done. Then, as somebody asked, what how to find the total length or total time taken in the previous problem, so we can simply write the total length will be nothing but this. Okay. So from here you know that z is there, so that z prime you can find. Z prime will be simply 2h by pi. You put it here, the integration for s will become integration of root over r square plus some constant, which is 2h by pi whole square, and d theta, which is nothing but r square plus 2h by pi whole square to the power half. Integration of d theta will give us theta. And what is the
Excuse me, bhaiya.
हाँ बोलो.
How are we getting A equal to 2h by pi? Can you tell once more?
When you are at point B, then
Yeah,
z
yeah.
is equal to h, theta is equal to pi by 2, right?
Okay, okay, that's how.
Yeah,
No,
right?
that is
Because
matlab B is the final condition. That is why.
yeah, because we are
Okay,
supposed
okay.
to find the length between A and B
Okay, okay, okay.
has to be minimum. That means it must have been passing through this A and B point.
Right, right, right. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So from here, we actually got the total length will be this much. You put this limit and you will get an answer. Simple. Same approach we are applying for all the 4 problems. So question number 5. This is actually same problem. So we have to know the definition of right circular cone, which is nothing but the same thing. X square plus y square is equal to some d square, and you will have some height. No. So this is actually called right circular cone. You must already be knowing this. Same thing, right? Same problem. That means question number 4. On the cylinder, you have to find the smallest path. Can you do this?
Yeah, done.
Then
Same like.
same thing. Yes. Just you know to write the equation, and you have to choose your proper coordinate system. Question number 6 now. So our variational principle problems are done. All the 5 problems are actually related to our Euler-Lagrange equation. So you please try these problems once. I have given almost 2 approaches for all the problems, so you would try at least. Yeah. Next question number 6. Consider a particle of mass m which is constrained to move on the surface of a sphere of radius r. There are no external forces. Find degrees of freedom. Write the Hamiltonian and find it is conserved or not. Okay. How many particles are there? Only one. One particle is moving. So one particle. If this particle is free to move, how many coordinates it will require? It will require
3.
1 into 3 because it was in 3D. But there is a constraint. How many constraints? Sorry.
1. R
One
is called.
constraint. Yes. With what was the constraint? It was actually
R is
constrained to
constant.
move on the surface of that sphere. So that means r small r should be equal to capital R always. So degrees of freedom. Yeah. Your degrees of freedom will be 3 minus 1, 2. Now you have to choose the generalized coordinates. Which generalized coordinate you will choose? Spherical system. So let us choose theta and phi. Then we can simply write r to be equal to r. Right? That's it. Now you have to write the Hamiltonian. So before writing Hamiltonian, we used to write Lagrangian. Lagrangian is simple to write. So your Lagrangian is nothing but kinetic energy plus potential energy. R M. Okay, what is the kinetic energy? So tell me, somebody tell me please, what will be the Lagrangian?
R square theta
Half
square
half
theta dot
Yes.
square.
r square theta dot square r sine theta phi dot square whole square. I mean
Okay. R sine theta
plus
pi dot square. Yes.
mgr cos theta. Sorry,
Okay.
minus.
Okay. You are saying mg r cos theta. But it is said that there are no external forces of any kind. So
Oh,
potential energy is actually 0. Okay. There is no gravity. So this will be a Lagrangian. Once you get your Lagrangian, it's easy to write the Hamiltonian. Hamiltonian is basically sum over all generalized coordinates Pj, Qj minus Lagrangian. So if you simplify this, your generalized coordinates are theta and phi. That's why it will become P
EJ
theta.
Q dot J.
Sorry,
EJ
Q,
Q dot
P Q dot. Yes. Sorry, man. P theta dot plus p phi phi dot minus n. Now you know your Lagrangian was actually of the form q dot t, used to be of this form, but your Hamiltonian is of the form p q t. Okay, so here you cannot write q dot kind of things in this, so you have to replace your theta dot and phi dot. How to replace that? For that, we know generalized momentums can be written as dl by d theta dot. Any generalized momentum Pj can be written as dl by dqj. So what will be your p theta then? Can anybody tell me? This part will not contribute. It is not having theta dot. Only this part will contribute.
mr square theta.
Very good. M1 square theta dot. From here we know that theta dot is nothing but p theta by mr square. Similarly, you find for p phi, this will be dl by d phi dot. So p phi will become m r square sin square theta phi dot. From here you got your phi dot. That is basically p phi divided by m r square sin square theta. Now you have converted your theta dot and phi dot to p theta and p phi. So from here again you will write, therefore our Hamiltonian will become p theta theta dot p theta into theta dot. Theta dot is nothing but p theta by m r square, so p theta square by, so it will become p theta square by 2. Okay, let me write something. P theta square plus p phi square by sin to the power 4 theta into, oh my god, oh, r square sin square theta. R square sin square theta. Okay, sorry, my mistake. Let me write it nicely. So our Hamiltonian will become p theta times of theta dot, which is nothing but p theta by mr square plus p phi times of phi dot mr square sin square theta. This part is only this part minus Lagrangian. Lagrangian is actually again half m r square theta dot square. Half m r square theta dot square means p theta square by m square r to the power 4 minus half m r square sin square theta and phi dot square. P phi dot square, p phi square by m square r square sin to the power 4 theta. You simplify this. Finally, your Hamiltonian will apply p theta square by p theta square plus p phi square by sin square theta whole into 1 by 2 m square. Okay, is it clear? The main step was
Yes.
you have to write your Lagrangian, then you have to write your Hamiltonian formula p q dot minus l. From here you have to replace your q dots, all the q dots, using generalized momentum, and you know your generalized momentum can be written in terms of Lagrangian like this, and you finally have to substitute here. Now you see your Hamiltonian is not having any q dot. That means you have done it correctly. Yeah, somebody wanted to ask something? Okay. Oh, next part was, is the Hamiltonian
Sir, I
conjugate?
had a question.
Mhm.
So if you see in this case, Hamiltonian is basically coming the same as Lagrangian. Like we can In the free particle case, we have generalized Hamiltonian to be T plus U and Lagrangian to be T minus U, right?
Hmm.
So, like, are there cases where this isn't true, where Hamiltonian is not directly equal to T plus U? Like, why are we doing all this differentiation thing instead of just writing T?
Oh, be- because your Hamiltonian is not time okay, I missed this point. Is the Hamiltonian conserved? Because your Hamiltonian is not having any time dependency, so that means your Hamiltonian will be conserved. That means your energy is conserved. Okay.
Okay, so his question is there the situation where the H is nothing but T plus U, which is not the same as when you consider the Lagrangian. Yes, there are many situations where time dependent factor is involved. Your H is not simply T plus U. There are problems we can prove it also. So since to start with, it is you will have to understand how to bring the Hamiltonian point of view, which is the momentum concept, not with the energy concept.
Okay, sir.
Our physical chemistry teacher told us that Hamiltonian operator is just T operator plus V operator.
No, 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 no. If it without the time constraints, if the time function involved, there are many situations where T plus U may not be constant.
Okay, okay. I thought
Because
he told us that it is time independent.
yeah, it is time independent. In case of, we will see those problem in the next class. That's a final class. So if you have a situation where you don't have Hamiltonian finally as not time dependent, then you can say it is conserved. So what is conserved? It is a energy format, which is you say indirectly T plus U. That's what we derived it from the free particle, right? We say that the product that is written summation of Pj Q dot J is nothing but 2T. But if there is a time dependent, it cannot be written that as a 2T. I mean, in the sense, the summation of T momentum multiplied by the Q dot J, that term is a Euler term, which will eventually turn out to be 2T only for time independent cases. So you have to be not confusing that. That's a generalized one, and not it's a special case, not generalized one. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you look at the next problem, you will understand. The seventh problem you find out, you will understand it.
Okay. Okay, in the seventh problem, it says that it is 1 degree of freedom and has this form. Hamiltonian is having some very complicated form, and we are supposed to find a Lagrangian corresponding to this Hamiltonian. So what we can do? We again have to get this P. See, your Hamiltonian is of the form Pn in the P, Q, and T, and we have to get it L, Q, Q dot, and T. And you know your Lagrangian and Hamiltonians are related like this. P Q dot, because it is in 1D, so I am not giving the summation anymore, minus H. But here you have to replace your P with Q dot somehow. So for that we will use Hamiltonian equation. So one equation is P dot and Q dot. How P and Q actually changes with time. So P Q dot, so this will become dH by dP, and here it will become dH by dQ. So I remember like this, because P and Q dot comes together, so Q dot, and if you have to write with P, and P dot we have to write it with Q, and P Q dot used to come together, so that's why I write here plus, and the second case is opposite, that's why I write minus. That's how I actually remember. You can remember like in it. You know, if you know the derivation, it's fine.
Okay, there is a confusion because the Hamiltonian equation of motion is not explained to them. So we'll have to explain them. So that is so this problem would be okay. I just noticed it. So this problem can be done only later, but of course mathematically it can be done.
Yes,
If
yes.
if I know the P, so P is nothing but dou H by, but then also it is going to be little complicated only. So this involves the finding, it needs a Hamiltonian equation of motion, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So which is not actually taught. So that is sleep in that. Okay, you can explain them, but of course I will discuss with them in the class day after tomorrow. But unless they know what is q dot from the Hamiltonian, it cannot be derived from.
Okay. So suppose you know these equations, then so can I start it like this, sir?
Yeah. You can right now set it to be like this. So I'll
Okay.
explain them, then they will be very clear for it. So there is a slip. So this problem cannot be solved without knowing what is Hamiltonian. We know Hamiltonian formalism. The equation that we have written it, where h is defined nicely as a function, so with the parameters. But we did not explain like Lagrange's equation of motion. We have not discussed the Hamiltonian's equation of motion, which has three factors. Two are written by P, no? It should be P. One is P dot and Q dot, yeah. So
Yes, P dot n.
these two comes here, but of course, how it comes, I'll explain it later. Just follow the conversion. Okay, so this I did not realize it. Okay, so I thought to cover. Okay, fine, it's not covered. So you go. We right now assume this. How it comes, I'll explain it in the day after tomorrow's class. Then you are clear through to solve the problem.
So we wanted to write a relation between q dot and p. So we will not use this. We will simply use this. Q dot is equal to dh by dp. So from here, if you write the dh by dp, your q dot, okay, q dot will become dh by dp here, p by alpha minus, again here is something, v q e to the power minus alpha t. And I think no more p term is there. See, there is no p term. So that means this is our q dot. So from here, we can simply write my p will become p to be equal to alpha times of q dot plus b q e to the power minus alpha t. Is this equation clear?
We have in place of alpha, P upon A.
Okay, sorry. Yes, it is a. A. Thanks. Yeah. So we got Rp. Now we can simplify this. Our Lagrangian will become P is L is equal to A q dot plus B q e to the power minus alpha t. Rp is done into q dot minus h. H we have to simplify now. P squared by 2a. So it will become a squared by 2a q dot plus b q e to the power minus alpha t whole square minus b q a q dot plus b q e to the power minus alpha t e to the power minus alpha t plus, now these terms are fine, b a by q square e to the power b a by e to the power minus alpha t times of alpha plus b e to the power minus alpha t. You see, this Lagrangian looks very complicated, right? Now, if you simplify this Lagrangian, your final Lagrangian will come out to be like this. A.
But that is what, nothing to worry. It looks very complicated, but then when we actually term is simplified by looking at the terms, it will be easily cancelling it out.
Yeah, many terms will get cancelled. You just have to multiply and cancel them, add them or subtract them. Okay, it's very easy. Minus k q square. Okay, I missed this minus term from here. There is a bracket. Yes, where 2 plus it will come something like this: ddt of half a b q square e to the power minus alpha t. Okay, if you simplify this, it will be coming like this. Now if you look at this Lagrangian, you see this Lagrangian is nothing but simple harmonic oscillator Lagrangian, right? It's of the form half m q dot square minus half k q square. Is it clear? Can you guys see this? This Lagrangian is of the form simple harmonic oscillator. SHM, kinetic energy minus potential energy. Yes. So let me write this as some L0 plus some total derivative, time total derivative of some function f, which is actually dependent only on q and t. By the way, the idea of giving this problem is to simply find a Lagrangian corresponding to this Hamiltonian. If you have find up to this is done. Or below, before this step also it's done. You do not have to write ddt. You can simplify this and you will get the Lagrangian. So if you get this Lagrangian, you see your Lagrangian is actually some simple Lagrangian plus some function, total derivative of some function which is dependent only on q and t. Okay. Now there is a theory called, if you can write your Lagrangian like this you will maybe study in higher classes. If you write your Lagrangian like this, then whatever equation of motion you will get for this Lagrangian, that will be same also for this Lagrangian. Using this Lagrangian, if you write L0, if you write the equation of motion, and if you also write the equation of motion using this L, both will be identical. Okay. From this, you can say that Lagrangian is not actually a unique quantity. Okay. That's what I just wanted to inform you.